PNC News First is presented by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Pizza Hut, we're taking pizza to where it's never been before. Taco Bell, the only place where you live Moss. Colgate, the #1 brand recommended by dentists. And IT&D.
PNC News First, broadcasting live in high definition from Tumon, Guam, on KEQI and KTGM, and on KPPI on Saipan. Here is your PNC News team.
Half a day you're watching PNC's News First. We're live from our broadcast center in Akanta. I'm Ayana Shed. Thanks for tuning in. Topping our newscast tonight. This just in, we have breaking news that the jury has reached a verdict in the machete trial this evening. It has been 4 days since the jury entered deliberations in the case involving the Manilao machete attacks. Emmanuel Resalap and Jordan Rachulap's future rests in the hands of 12 jurors who must come to a decision on their guilt or innocence. The two young brothers were arrested in connection with a stabbing, several attacks on motorists and passerbyers after a family quarrel spilled out into the streets of Manilao. PNC's Jolene Toves is standing at the courthouse in Hagåtña. Jolene, what can you tell us?
Half a day, I'm Jolene Toves here at the Superior Court of Guam, where a verdict has been reached in the Manilao machete attacks. Emmanuel Resalap and Jordan Rachulap were implicated in the attacks, accused of various crimes or criminal offenses, to include aggravated assault, attempted murder, criminal mischief, and terrorizing. Just before 5 o'clock this afternoon, a verdict was reached by the jury after 4 days in deliberations. After 1 week of listening to witness testimonies and victim testimonies, reviewing surveillance footage of the alleged attacks, the jury has come to a decision finding Emmanuel Resalap guilty of aggravated assault, 2 counts of terrorizing, and 2 counts of criminal mischief, all with the special allegations attached. He was also found guilty of family violence as a misdemeanor. The family violence charge is allegedly what had prompted the attacks, as the 2 individuals were as Emmanuel Resalap was had allegedly beat his girlfriend, and that family quarrel spilled out in the streets. His brother, Jordan Rachulap, was also found guilty of 2 counts of criminal mischief and 2 counts of terrorizing, both with the special allegations attached. All other charges in the indictment, they were not found guilty of those charges. For PNC News, I'm Jolene Toves.
Thank you, Jolene. Prosecuting attorney Sean Brown says although a conviction was not secured on all counts, justice has been served. Meanwhile, sentencing date for the 2 defendants has not yet been determined. The Office of the Attorney General has taken action against several companies for distributing products containing PFAS, a water contaminant that has posed severe health effects to people and the environment, in the form of a lawsuit filed with the local court. Let's check in with PNC's Amanda Dedicatoria for more.
In order to protect the people's right to access clean water, Attorney General Levin Camacho has filed a lawsuit in the Superior Court against several companies that have contributed to the manufacturing and distribution of PFAS-laced products. PFAS, which stands for poly or perfluoroalkyl substances, is a group of resilient artificial chemicals that can cause adverse health effects such as infertility, birth defects, and increase the risk of certain cancers. According to the lawsuit, 8 companies, including 3M, Tyco Fire Products, and DuPont, have been associated with the distribution of PFAS through their sale of their aqueous film-forming foam, which has been used by fire department facilities on Guam to extinguish liquid fires. Currently, there is an ongoing multi-district litigation effort in South Carolina that includes the pursuit of claims from other jurisdictions. While this lawsuit filed by the Attorney General has been filed locally, he anticipates that it will eventually become a part of the multi-litigation case.
We could have filed directly in the multi-district litigation, but the territories, there's no statute to get it back to Guam. So we wanted to make sure that if this matter proceeds to trial, we're going to have it here handled by a local court. So we would file here, it would be removed to the district court under a federal federal officer removal statute, and then it would be transferred to the multi-district litigation court in South Carolina.
The Attorney General is suing these companies on the basis that these entities engaged in false, misleading, and deceptive acts about the risks posed by their products, and orders that these organizations pay for the investigation, testing, treatment, and monitoring services of areas affected by PFAS contamination on the island. However, while no PFAS has been detected in Guam's drinking water, the Attorney General says that there are several wells that have tested positive above the Environmental Protection Agency's health advisory levels, with 2 wells that have been rendered inoperable. In light of this issue, he adds that the Guam Waterworks Authority, WERI, and EPA have been proactive in monitoring PFAS levels in our water system.
All of our local agencies and entities are aware of this. We are paying out of pocket. I think Miguel Bordallo pointed out that ratepayers are paying to monitor, to test, to clean the water now. And this is something that shouldn't be borne by our community, it should be borne by the people who created this.
Amanda Dedicatoria, PNC News.
Thank you, Amanda, for that report. According to the Attorney General, GWA has joined the lawsuit. In other news, a lawsuit asking in part to make the legalization of recreational and medicinal marijuana null and void has been rejected by the federal court. The plaintiff, Sedfree Linsangen, now has 14 days to file an objection to the court's decision. Linsangen filed a complaint against the government of Guam, asking the District Court of Guam to rule in his favor and rescind the legalization of marijuana on the island. As part of the complaint, Linsangen also requested that GovGuam be prohibited from making the policies and rules to regulate the sale and distribution of marijuana and declare that Governor Lou Leon Guerrero and the legislature committed official misconduct by legalizing marijuana. According to the complaint, Linsangen believes that because marijuana is still illegal with regard to federal law relative to the Controlled Substances Act, the Guam Cannabis Industry Act of 2019 goes against the Organic Act by failing to protect people from the use of a prohibited drug. While Linsangen argues that he has been standing to bring the suit before the court, he has suffered a personal concrete injury. The federal court does not agree. In denying the motion for summary judgment, the court states, quote, "Here issues might be political issues, which may be more appropriately dealt with in other forums other than the courtroom," end quote. The animal cruelty case against alleged pet killer Gerald Wayne Cruz has been dismissed for a second time by Superior Court Judge Michael Bordallo. The decision by Judge Michael Bordallo to dismiss the superseding indictment charging Gerald Wayne Cruz II was done so as a result of the Office of the Attorney General charging Cruz improperly. Cruz, who is accused of killing a neighbor's dog and cat in Jigo, was first let off the hook in February when Bordallo dismissed the charges of animal cruelty, citing that the facts did not support that Cruz had cruelly caused the animal's deaths. In the superseding indictment, Cruz was again charged with animal cruelty as a felony, alleging that he caused serious physical injury of an animal or tortured an animal. But the charges brought forth raised questions with the judge, specifically why the AG was not charging the lesser included offense of animal abuse as a misdemeanor when it clearly applies. Bordallo further points out that the new indictment did not allege that Cruz killed the animals, but instead only caused physical harm or torture. While the AG can pursue misdemeanor charges based on the killings, the dismissal order states neither the AG nor the court has the authority to disregard the laws of Guam. Because Cruz has been charged improperly, the court dismisses both counts of animal cruelty without prejudice, end quote. After more than a decade of waiting, a bill that seeks to establish regulations and spending monies in the Recycling Revolving Fund was met with unanimous support during its public hearing today. The Recycling Revolving Fund primarily comes from fees paid by residents when they register their motor vehicles and is meant to support the collection and removal of solid waste from the island. Bill 198-35 seeks to finally put the rules and regulations in place for the administration of the Recycling Revolving Fund, which is under the management of the Environmental Protection Agency. With the upcoming census next year, the Bureau of Statistics and Plans provided updates on its preparations, including the setting up of temporary headquarters on island, setting up a social media campaign, and hiring of several hundred enumerators for the data gathering process. According to Tyrone J. Titano, the Bureau's director, BSP is responsible for providing the Guam portion of the national census under a federal grant under the National Census Bureau.
For now, though, we're in the process of not only setting up the census staff operations, but also educating people about the census and why it's important. It's important for a number of reasons. Number one is it's sort of a mandate under the Constitution and federal law, and also it's a basis by which we can utilize to tell Guam's story and utilize it for planning purposes.
He said the census is expected to bring in around $13.8 million into the economy, and at its height will employ more than 800 people.
We will also be doing a number of job fairs to recruit the staff we need by early next year. There's also elements to bring broadest segments of the community into the process itself. So we'll be reaching out to the mayors, to non-governmental organizations, to private businesses to help get the word out of the census and to help us in this process. In particular, we have a program called Statistics in Schools that will roll out either in this fall semester or by the spring semester that will bring information about the census into the classroom and add to the educational experience. And we've already been in contact with the Department of Education and with a number of private schools about that task as well.
According to Titano, the census aims to gather data about the island's population, such as veteran status and ethnicity. Conducted every 10 years, the census acts as a valuable resource in the production of grants, policy planning, and program improvements. Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back, more tax refunds are being mailed out, and GCC cuts the ribbon on the new criminal justice building. Those stories and more after the break.